Hello everyone, there seems to be a unicorn party in the startup ecosystem today, which is flush with funds. I'm Priya Sheth, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers to the Daily Dispatch. The three big companies that are in focus today are Reliance Industries, Upgrad, as well as CoinDCX. Headline number one, Reliance Industries' wholly owned subsidiary, Reliance New Energy Solar, along with strategic investors Paulson and Company, as well as Bill Gates, have invested in energy storage company Amri Inc. Now, Reliance New Energy Solar and Amri are also in discussions for an exclusive collaboration to set up a large-scale battery manufacturing facility in India. Well, headline number two, big news in the edtech space this month. Mumbai-based Upgrad has galloped into the unicorn club. Now, Upgrad has hit a valuation of about $1.2 billion after its recent $185 million fundraise. Now, Singapore's Temasek led this financing round, while World Bank's International Finance Corporation as well as IIFL also participated in the fundraise. Well, moving on to the final headline of the day. Speaking of unicorns, CoinDCX is the first crypto startup to enter the unicorn club. Now, after securing a fundraise of about $90 million in its Series C funding round, CoinDCX has hit a valuation of $1.1 billion, and the company will be using these funds to expand its workforce as well as focus on new business initiatives. Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me Ishpreet Gandhi from Stride Ventures. Thank you very much, Ishpreet, for joining us today on the Daily Dispatch. I want to begin by asking you about your first close that you've announced, 550 crore rupees out of the 1,000 crore rupees that you have been planning for. What has been the process like, and how has the experience been with investors so far?
Hi, Priya. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to interact with your story. Yes, basically we launched this fund a couple of months back, got our firm approvals from SEBI in June. And the whole purpose of doing the second fund was the success what we saw in Fund 1, about trying to get into the requirements of mid-stage and growth stage companies, late stage as well, in terms of creating some lending structures. I think overall ecosystem movement in the past 3 to 6 months have been quite heartening, and founders are getting more privy about understanding the venture lending requirements and how it can preserve their dilution. So we were very clear that we were running out of funds in Fund 1. We wanted to have a quick close on Fund 2. I think the amount which we raised is only from a perspective of starting deploying from Fund 2. So I think you'll see a continuous raise from us in order to make sure that the original size, which is 1,000 crores, is raised soon to get deployed fully. So that's where we are. So we actually announced this initial close in order to make sure that we start deployments.
Right. As I understand that you've invested in some of the very key companies, we've been looking at your portfolio. You have Sugar Cosmetics, and you have a lot of other companies like MyGlam, etc., who are also part of your portfolio. Wanted to understand a little bit about the kind of ticket size going forward, because I do understand that 75 crore rupees is the kind of average ticket size that you all are aiming for via this fund. So what has been the thought process for this kind of number? Because it's an increase from what you've done earlier.
So you're saying the requirement in terms of the increase in the amount of deployment, the rationale behind that? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so most of these companies, as I said, are mid-stage and late-stage companies. Like they are in their respective growth trajectories. In consumer brands, since you mentioned some of them, we believe that there is a great traction. All of them are seeing direct-to-consumer story in India is really played out well, and it's getting a due attention in terms of the economy it's catering to. And while doing that, all of these companies are building great revenues for themselves. Now, most of these businesses inherently has working capital requirements. So there are two sets of their deployments. What we are seeing, one is to, as the growth momentum comes up, there will be working capital requirements for these business to ensure that the receivables and the inventory gets funded, which is not done through the equity money, and they reach a certain revenue framework to go for their larger equity rounds. So that's one way of looking at the debt deployments. And the second is the acquisition and the consolidation, which is happening across the industry. So traditionally, it's been funded more of equity. We're creating use cases of using a lot of debt money to build acquisitions and consolidation. So the debt amounts will increase as per us because of the sheer nature of the requirements of some of these companies and the kind of consolidation you're seeing. So we forecast an average of $8-10 million of requirements across these companies where we've been. If you've seen the portfolio, we've touched almost 30 companies. I think our latest information which capture that. And all of these 30 companies have been growing at a steady pace. So if you do the math, we see a lot of requirements in the current companies across D2C, B2B marketplaces, healthcare as a segment, and other sectors. And then the newer companies which are coming in. And all these requirements, since it's in mid stage and late stage now, we'll see a large amount of action there, large amount of deployments. That's hence the increase in ticket sizes, which will come in.
Right. Talking about the kind of sectors out there, which do you think are the promising sectors or perhaps the sunrise sectors, according to you, where you'd be looking at deploying funds into?
So we've been core to 4 sectors, Priya. One is the business to business marketplaces, right? So these marketplaces traditionally been in the form of various sectors. It can be traditional sectors, it can be non-traditional sectors, in terms of ensuring that all these growth requirements of theirs of business marketplaces we take cater to. So that will remain any platform which is catering to SMEs and the large enterprises and playing a role in between. Second is the direct to consumer sector, which we've been actively invested into. We've also funded MyGlam recently. So Sugar had been there. We had done HomeLane. We've done Miko. We've been doing 3 more companies, which we'll be announcing soon. Healthcare as a sector we've really deployed since COVID. So we've been the lenders to Medica Bazaar, Acnamet, and DocSab MediBuddy. All 3, especially 2 of them. One is going through a consolidation. A couple of them are seeing major deployments. Right, so that's the third sector we've been looking at. Agri-tech, we already have 4-5 companies. We've been supporting that sector. So these 3-4 sectors have been always there. Anything which has business receivables, which takes time to come in B2B platforms, all the other sectors will remain core to us. And financial technology as a sector will evolve in a very different manner. Since our major expertise at Stride is that we have come from the banks and we understand banking products very well, been very amicable and embracing fintech sector in terms of providing a lot of loans to them and getting banks enabled. So that's another sector we've been excited about. So these 4-5 sectors will constitute large portion.
Right. I wanted to understand going forward, you have a commitment requirement for about 500 crore rupees more for the fund to close. So when can we expect that to come through? And is there a time frame that you're working with in terms of conversations with investors or bringing more investors on board?
Sure, Priya. So when we launched the fund also, which was not a while back, we thought we'll take time to reach to the current figure. And I think it's purely basis the returns and the investors' expectation, the kind of investors we had. We always had institutional and family supporting us. And the whole purpose is lending itself in India is very underpenetrated. If you see globally versus India, it's a very, very low number of penetration versus the venture capital infusion. So we firmly believe that sooner than expected, this 1,000 crores will get closed. Do I have a particular framework in mind? Maybe next 3 to 6 months, right? So definitely by the end of this calendar year, we should reach the 1,000 crores. If it happens sooner, good for everyone.
An honest question for you, Ishpreet, is that is it far easier to raise money now, considering that there is so much money that's chasing startups at this point in time? It looks like there is a lot of money in the market. So is it far easier to raise funds now than it was earlier?
So Priya, I would not deny fund one for any fund manager is comparatively more difficult. That's reason one. Second is what you rightly said. I think people have realized the opportunity which is there in India across spectrum, including lending, what you can build. And third is the other founders who have embraced founders who have embraced us in a manner in which we wanted in order to make sure that their deployment's there. So all 3 of these reasons have resulted into an amicable fundraise. Moment you start giving a regular in return to your investors in a manner in which they appreciate. And since starting, we have not seen any capital loss or defaults in our portfolio, which is a very good sign in the ecosystem. I think that's where the confidence further rises, because ours is a more regular income product, right, for our investors. So there's no denial it's been easier than the fund one because of macro plus micro factors working well.
All right. On that note, Rishpreet, thank you very much for joining us today on the Daily Dispatch, and thank you so much for your insights around the whole venture debt.
Well, time now to wrap up this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye and have a lovely day.